emergency transmission. I mean, we're not breaking any news on here because you're listening to this at least a day after it happened.
My mom already broke the news. So.
Yeah, Drew's mom. Honestly, that's who I found out from.
Yeah, my mom texted me and my dad. Neither of us knew. Sent it along to the B&B. No one else knew. So at first, I thought she said Joe Sakic. So
yeah,
famously.
Yeah, that'd be a good get. Yeah,
yeah.
GM of the Colorado Avalanche.
All the players come with
Joe Sacco, former coach of the Colorado Avalanche. Yeah, he's been behind the Bruins bench for a little bit. I don't know. Any thoughts, Drew, on the firing of Jim Montgomery?
Yeah, now
that's what we were talking about.
They're gonna win out now. The Bruins. Still time to break their record. So now I think. I mean, we kind of talked about it last episode. The writing was on the wall. It's not like you can just make a blockbuster trade and swap out like 5 players right now, which is probably what the team would need if they really want to make a shakeup. So, what do you do as a general manager? You fire your head coach, bring in an interim, or maybe they'll look into bring something more long term. But I imagine Sacco might just see out the rest of this season. So I'm fine with it. It's just what happens when you're not meeting expectations. So, I mean, and we've talked about too, like the fact that he led the Bruins or was behind the bench while the Bruins, broke that record with 65 wins. He's also there where they lost in 7 games to Florida. So, take the good with the bad, I guess. I'm fine with it. Like I said, I think the writing was on the wall.
Yeah, I think I would love to go back and listen to our episode on the Bruce Cassidy firing, because I imagine my thoughts are pretty similar. We're like, good coach, really like the guy. It's just not working right now. Do I think it's his fault necessarily? Probably not. There's definitely a little bit of fault there where like you can't just lose the room as the coach. And it seems like he and Brad Marchand are not getting along particularly well. I don't know how much, we don't know the depths of that relationship. We don't know how it's going behind the scenes, but it doesn't look great on the ice, on the bench. And yeah, I mean, there are just some frustrating things about how he handles the lineups. I mean, we've had issues with him doing that in the playoffs where it seemed like there were some really obvious, like minor tweaks that could have been made to improve things on the ice. And instead of doing those things, he would do like 7 other things and then make changes so quickly that you don't know what, if anything, is working and what's not. And it seemed like he kind of carried those habits into the regular season this season, because it did feel like, maybe playoff stakes for him and his employment. So, a little microcosm of, what the frustrations of the Jim Montgomery experience. But yeah, I think he's a good guy. I think he'll catch on somewhere else. So like, much like the Bruce Cassidy situation, it's not like tragic for the person. Like obviously they want to be, with the team that believes in them. And if it's not the Bruins, then, they'll probably be happier somewhere else. And obviously Bruce figured it out somewhere else.
Yeah.
I wish Jim Montgomery the best, but maybe not like such immediate success.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was thinking and I don't know how much of a role he has in this in terms of sending a guy down, but Matt Poitras being down there, like, I don't know he probably had a hand in the decision, but it could have been management just saying, we want this guy to have like a lot more minutes than he's getting right now. But that was very frustrating. And I think kind of going to what you said with some of the line changes or lineups he'd go with, would have really loved to see Matt Poitras get more of a look, get more minutes, especially as things aren't working and you're shaking up the lines as is. Like, why not toss him on the first line for a period? like just for a period, for 5 or 6 shifts, like just give him that. Um, but so I feel if he had a heavy hand in that and was just kind of like, yeah, not going to be playing this guy, you might as well send him down. Then that's because I want Patra up. So whoever's responsible for that bullshit needs to speak up and answer because I really haven't heard a good reason other than we want to give him more minutes, which you should just be doing at the NHL level.
Yeah,
Alas,
and it
here
also
we are.
seems like they're not playing him, with Lysell at all
Mhm.
down in Providence, so, like, I don't know if you're not gonna do the fun thing down there, like,
They're
it
going
doesn't
for
make
the
much.
Calder Cup, the
Yeah,
AHL trophy, which
I
is
really
also
don't.
the the Rookie of the Year trophy.
Yeah, won't play him with Pasta up here, here being Boston. I'm not in Boston.
You're
Uh,
about as far as away as you can get with while being in the continental United
tr
States.
true, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we don't know how much that was Montgomery, how much that was the front office, but, uh, while we're talking about the front office, I think that's another the organization that has to answer for their crimes. Um, it it hasn't worked as a roster. I mean, it's not. Drew, what are you recording?
No, it's okay. It's good content. It's a Brews and Bruins and good cat content. So you'll see
Oh,
it on
okay,
Blue
sick.
Sky later. Follow us
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Blue Sky.
Check it out. Yeah, we're on Blue Sky. Everyone on this podcast is on Blue Sky, including the Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Uh,
Allegedly.
yeah, the Drew definitely didn't make those accounts. They'll be verified soon. Um, yeah, I mean, I've been pretty vocal about my inkling that Cam Neely is behind a lot of the questionable moves the Bruins have made front office wise. Um, but at a certain point, Don Sweeney also has to be culpable for things. Like he is a voice in the room. He if he has any sway at all, sometimes you need to speak up against it. And we also don't know how much stuff he has prevented. We don't know how much stuff he is himself responsible for. So uh, I think if this team continues to have the lack of success that they've had, then yeah, I think those are the next guys to answer. I don't think that's a hot take.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with your many statements about how Neely's probably behind some of the bullshit, which we know he's actually behind some of the bullshit. Uh, Listen back to some of our episodes that are dated to something. You could do a lot of research into us bashing Neely for some decisions that either were him or pointed toward him. Um, yeah, I mean, I think overall, and this goes into one of our listener questions from Lancey, which was Bruins question mark. Things feel just
Yeah,
kind of dark right now. Like it's just so that's why you make the move to fire your head coach, just a change in the locker room. I think yeah, things just don't feel good. Like, I don't get excited to watch games, and I'll watch, like, the first period or so and then be like, "This is awful. I'm not having fun. I'd rather go do something else now." It's
I
just oh, it's so hard
be
to watch. It's painful.
being real honest, I've mostly just been like keeping an eye on the score, and if it's close, like midway through the third period, I'll tune in.
Yeah, I was gonna do that with the game against the Blues, but I didn't wind up turning it on, and I'm glad because they lost in overtime. But
Yeah,
um, yeah, that seems to be the sentiment around like social media and everything too. It's just people are very frustrated with this team right now because we're really not used to this. I mean, we've had seasons where, we miss the playoffs or whatever, but it feels like we're competitive and it feels like throughout the season that we have a shot. And right now it just feels like no, this is not a playoff team. It feels like we have no chance right now. And there's still about 75% of the season to go. Like it's not over. You're not statistically eliminated this early in the season and you can go on a run and hey, the St. Louis Blues won the Stanley Cup from last place like in February or something. So it's not too late, but like right now it's just dreadful.